Sure.
Okay.
Okay, I think we are live.
Yeah.
Okay. So why don't we start with like introductions? Like just briefly within a minute, just talk about yourself, who you are, what you do, and how long you have been working in the blockchain space, etc. You can start with Vikas.
Okay. Hi guys. I'm Vikas Singh, and I just recently started my blockchain startup 10 months back in April, and prior to that, I was a full-time Ethereum blockchain developer for a healthcare-based organization. And more of my practical experience comes from the freelance work that I did, as well as the work that I did for my old company. And I've been enjoying this blockchain space for almost close to 3 years now. February 2016 was the year when I started learning about blockchain, and following in next 2 months, I did some small POC on Mix IDE, which was like one of the initial one IDE that came from Ethereum Foundation. So, and right now in Block Labs, my startup name is Block Labs Private Limited. Right now, we are trying to solve some of the peer-to-peer verification layer kind of a problem. Let's suppose, let's say, just take an example. Let's say if you are going if you want to rent out a place, so you will show up a ID, right? That ID is good enough for protection, but you do not have a active mechanism to verify that ID that has been shown to you, whether it's a correct one or genuine one or something like that. So I'm just trying to see, can we do it in a secure way where it doesn't breach any regulations as well, but still satisfy the other person to get to know whether, yes, if Apoor says yes, he is Apoor by showing me his passport, so I can say yes, he is definitely Apoor, and his passport is definitely not fake. Because most of the time, like if I will give you anything in front of you, you will hardly gonna make any knowledge out of this. Just you are just gonna trust that paper. So that's sort of challenges that we are trying to solve here in Block Labs. Also, we do some services sort of stuff. So we also try to, just to oil the company, we definitely do anything related to blockchain field. We generally do, and we do like almost major platform like Hyperledger Fabric, Sawtooth, Ethereum, and Tendermint. And we are also exploring one more platform. I'm forgetting the name. That's related to basically fall into the category of Cosmos and Polkadot. So that's the one. So that's pretty much what I've been doing. And yeah, I'm a core member of Blockchain India community as well. That's pretty smooth, running pretty smooth. Yeah.
Okay. That's a good introduction, because you actually touched on some of the things I was actually thinking we can discuss today as well. You mentioned regulations and stuff as well. So we'll get into all of that. Okay, Apoor, why don't you give your introduction?
Yeah, definitely. Hi guys, I'm Apoor Shankar, founder of Necoin. Necoin is a blockchain as a service platform. I'll explain more about it, but first let's talk about my journey in the blockchain ecosystem. So I discovered Bitcoin in 2013 actually, when I was exploring darknet and how exactly Silk Route worked. So that is how I discovered Bitcoin, and I bought my first Bitcoin at $41 at that point of time. So, but blockchain as a concept was interesting to me. I was more of a researcher. I used to write papers on AI and ML back then. And then I discovered this technology called blockchain. So it was on the research side, nothing on the production, nothing on the enterprise scale. But in 2016, I started working on blockchain from an enterprise perspective. We were building a banking as a service platform based on blockchain. So we were trying to basically bring banks openly through open APIs, and all the open APIs were connected to the central banking system of the banks. And that platform was enabled by blockchain. So all the transactions which was happening, that was in blockchain. And then I figured out that the right kind of infrastructure was not there in place. So I'm talking about the time when Qtum was just, coming in the market. Ethereum was very new in the market. So the right set of tools and tactics were not in place to build such kind of platform. So there was a void, and the void was of building a platform where anyone can deploy a blockchain in seconds, in minutes, without even, having the entire knowledge set of blockchain. As Vikas was saying right now that there are multiple platforms that we are exploring right now. So when there are a lot many platforms available out there, and the developers not exactly know exactly what to build on and what not to build on. So it's better to experiment with different kind of platforms, see where what scales, what doesn't scale, what works for you, what doesn't work for you. So that is where the idea of Nikcoin came in. And Nikcoin is basically a blockchain as a service platform, as I mentioned. It enables you to deploy blockchain on the cloud in minutes. So you select the kind of blockchain framework you need, select the kind of consensus mechanism, select the kind of right parameters for the kind of blockchain you have chosen, and click on deploy. So the blockchain gets deployed on the cloud, and you can just connect your application through the RPC endpoints, connect Ganache, and whatever you want to the endpoints over there. So it brings blockchain to masses. It allows people to build their blockchain on the cloud in minutes. That is what I do. That is what Nikcoin is.
Nice.
That's really interesting, Apurv, the work you're doing. We should actually get into that, as we are answering more questions and stuff. We can explore all of this, opportunities and everything, that you are doing and other people are doing in the ecosystem. So yeah, Aviral, why don't you go ahead and give a quick introduction about yourself?
Okay, so
Also,
hello.
I would also suggest others, if when you're not talking, you can just mute yourself because notification sounds and stuff might come and all. When you're speaking, you can just unmute yourself and speak. Okay?
Yeah. Okay, so hello everyone. I'm Avril. So I currently work for a startup known as DLT Labs. So it's a blockchain-based startup which provides enterprise-level solutions to companies regarding to consent, and we also have a wallet, blockchain-based wallet payment application for web as well as mobile systems. Then certificate verification, ID verification, and we used to have we used to have a generic ICO platforms, but those are now discontinued. And yeah, and apart from that, also asset management system like a complete SCM solution. So all of these solutions are present on blockchain. So currently, what happens is when we say the solution is present on blockchain, generally people refer to as that either the complete solution exists on blockchain or you don't use the blockchain, which is very like very impractical in nature. So what happens is what we have developed is we have developed a certain endpoints. You can say there's an endpoint. So we have a complete end-to-end solution, like a front end also. You can have a web service running, or as well as you can connect to endpoints, wherein you can use all these services. So if you want to, let's say, manage your assets on the blockchain, assets, when I say assets, I mean actual practical world assets, like when a good is transferred from one place to another. For example, you can check out Mintrax. Mintrax is basically a mineral tracking solution. So whatever cobalt is being mined in Africa, whether that is ethically mined or not, whether your cell phone has the cobalt which is mined from ethical mines or not, all of that is being tracked on Mintrax right now. So that solution is built out on blockchain. Apart from that, several other people are using it. Same way for consent. So DL consent is basically as GDPR regulations is there, which states that you need to have consent for every like consent for whatever you are going to use that personal data for. So right now there's no concrete mechanism where you can ask somebody's consent for using his or her data. Like if I have my PII, my personal data, so if my company or my employer, my bank, my government is going to use that, there's no concrete mechanism by which I have a say in that I want to whether allow it or not. So that's another solution which is being developed. So my blockchain journey started around 3 years ago. So I began in approximately around March 2016, right? March 2016, I started my blockchain career. So I was involved in a blockchain lab, blockchain R&D lab in my college, and from there I when I graduated my college, I joined the startup, this DLT Labs. and yeah, I've been there since. So my core expertise is on Hyperledger Fabric and Ethereum. So those are the core technologies I've been involved since starting. But apart from that, I have also expertise in IOTA, and rest of those Coda is there and Quorum is there. So those are something which I explore side by side. So yeah, so that covers all of my career.
Okay,
Nice.
that's really interesting, Aviral. In fact, I'm actually really amazed to know that you started your journey in college by joining a program that was provided in your college. That's the really interesting part, right? Because blockchain is still
Right.
a very new technology, and that
Right.
colleges get people into blockchain to learn and get to know about it and get into it, and then be able to get them to build a career around it, right? That is quite right. So
Right.
yeah, really good.
So
And
actually,
since
what happened was, what the company that I'm working in, right? So the person who started is my college alumni. So he started very early in blockchain. So he actually went ahead and started a blockchain research lab, and through some coincidence, like I got to know about that, and I got into it. So that's how like all of that started.
that's great. Like that's where the alumni magic comes into the place.
Right. Mm,
You build something, explore something, and then you're able to help people who are still in the college you came out from and help them get into it and stuff.
right.
So that's okay. So I'll give a very quick introduction about myself, and then we'll jump into some discussions and stuff. So as a professional, I'm not specialized or whatever in blockchain. I don't work in blockchain as a developer or whatever. I would say that I'm passionate about it. I'm very passionate about decentralization. I am my development mostly is in web dev space, web development. So I work in that space, but I'm interested, very, very, very much interested in decentralization. I believe in it very strongly, so I constantly keep myself updated with everything that's happening in the space, inside blockchain, outside blockchain, in any new kind of innovations or product development or whatever that's happening, protocols that are happening, anything. It could be like IPFS or whatever that's happening basically. So I'm very passionate about the idea of decentralization. That really excites me basically, and I genuinely believe that I when I think about the future, I think decentralization basically. So I cannot imagine living in a society where decentralization is not a core component. So that is in terms of my passion or whatever basically. But in terms of work, what I do and stuff, so I'm actually I manage a developer community here in Hyderabad, and we host frequent events, meetups and stuff. We help people learn different technologies, and we try to help them get hired by companies basically. And yeah, so that is, it's called Codaplex. It's a organization. It's an organization that I've started, and we try to do that. We try to help people learn and get hired basically. So yeah, so I'm also right now working with Startup Byte, and trying to help them as well with community building around different technologies and stuff, because that is something I have a lot of expertise in. So that is about me. Now we can, I think, jump into some discussions and stuff. If you guys if you haven't seen already, do check out. Like I already posted a few questions that I felt were really good questions that we could jump off from. If you go to the Startup Byte website, where the AMA is posted and stuff, I posted a few questions, and we can either pick something like you feel is interesting. If you feel like any of those questions are really interesting and you want to talk about it, we can pick that, or we can just go by now one after the other kind of thing. So the first question on the list is like, what are some practical, real world use cases of applying the blockchain technology to solve some problem in society? Like we can start with that, or sharing your thoughts on that. What do you think are some practical use cases and stuff? Or if you feel like there's another question that you really want to jump into first, we can go with that. Vikas, we can't hear you.
Oh,
I think
sorry. Yeah, I was on mute. Sorry.
yeah.
Yeah, I was actually going through the questionnaires.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Deco, and just see like if you feel
I
something
think,
really like.
yeah. So I guess I hope that people like who's gonna watch, who are watching right now, or uh, like, hmm, I just hope that people who are watching it or who are gonna watch it, like they know about blockchains, little bit about them, because
True.
the questions actually considers that you understand little bit of blockchain as
Yes.
a prerequisite sort of them.
Yeah, it does assume that people understand blockchain to some degree. Already. We
True,
can,
true.
I mean, I guess if you want, we can start off by just talking about, like, if let's assume that there are a few viewers who don't know anything about blockchain, maybe, right? So we can maybe start from there. Do you think that's where we should start? Like, just talking about
Okay.
blockchain quickly.
Yeah, I guess couple of minutes just to give them the, let's say, if they can like they can attach those strings later on.
Okay. Okay. So let's start
Yeah.
with this. Like, what is blockchain? Let's start with a layman, no fancy words, no jargon, just layman description of what is blockchain.
Okay. So if that's the question with from me, then I'll answer like blockchain is something, a simple sort of a register where you write something so you cannot update it, and if you update it, then the previous entry is also gonna be there. So consider it like your when you are in sixth class or seventh class, so you are writing something on your copy and you somehow mistaken a word, so you simply strike off and write something, write, let's say, correct spelling over the top of it. So if a teacher is viewing that or seeing that copy, so she can make out, okay, this was something, the wrong spelling which Vikas written first, and then he strike through, and then he wrote this thing. So blockchain is something like that, and consider that happening, that entry is getting recorded by a lot of other things as other registers as well simultaneously. But just to give them the layman understanding, blockchain is something, if I'm writing something, it is gonna be written with a non-erasable ink on your copy, and if you make a mistake and if you try to update it, then you are going to record that thing as well. So that's without any jargon.
That's a really good explain like I'm five kind of description. Everyone would get
Yeah.
it pretty much. I'm pretty sure everyone would get that.
Right.
So
Yeah, that was very, very, very descriptive in nature with very layman terms.
yeah, yeah. Like even probably like fifth grade students would get it now. Okay, so anyone else want to chip in, like their your approach to how you would explain blockchain to someone who has no idea about it and stuff?
So what Vikas told was like completely accurate. So when you consider blockchain, you like let's consider a regular day scenario is like there is a central, let's say, register. So you have one place where all the data is going in and all the data is coming out. So there is one point where you are sending something, like you are doing some transactions or sending some data, and there's one point where you are getting that data. So that becomes a point which is controlling all the data flow in the network. Okay. Now, what blockchain allows is there's no central point where all the data is flowing. You you are saying you there can be n number of places where the data copy is maintained. So if it's, let's say, an entry is registered at some place, like I'm making a entry that my name is Aviral. So what will happen is that entry will be replicated in all the registers or all the nodes on the network. Now what will happen is even if somebody tries to like change it, the entry is present in all the other registers. So I cannot change it unless I modify it in all the registers. Now, modifying in it one or two or five registers might be easy, but modifying this it in 10,000, 20,000, 50,000 becomes exponentially difficult. Now, as you keep on increasing, the difficulty will increase exponentially, not linearly. So that is a very core component of blockchain, like where the power lies is a single copy is maintained by n number of people, and you need to make that changes in at least n by 2 places, at least n by 2 places to bring some change. Like if I have written Aviral and I say like I owe 100 rupees, now I want to say I owe 200 rupees, and that register is maintained by 1 million people. So I need to change that value in at least 500,000 people's registers, which is like if you think on a computational scale, becomes very expensive to do. Like it's so much expensive that if you try to do that, you lose more than you gain. So when we say Ethereum's main philosophy, like economical philosophy, comes from the fact that if you try to cheat the network, you lose more than what you get. They have made it in such a way. People don't actually go ahead and cheat it because they are losing more than they win. So that's one of the one more point where power of blockchain actually lies. Yeah.
Yeah, that's correct, accurate. Yeah, that's a good description of it all. Abur, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, so I'll explain blockchain from a generalized use case like financial transaction. Okay, so let's take an example that I and Vikas are there, and I'm broke, and I go to Vikas and ask for some money. So Vikas gives me 100 rupees. Okay, now Vikas writes 100 rupees, and now Vikas holds a ledger. I mean, a record of all the transaction he does, ek hisab kitab, whatever you can say. So he's writing. He wrote there that he sent 100 rupees to approve, and I wrote in my ledger, I received 100 rupees from Vikas. Now what happens that I am a crooked fellow. Okay, so now and I promised Vikas that will return the money in a week, and I'm a crooked fellow. So what I did, I removed a zero from 100 in my ledger. Now Vikas came to me after 1 week and asked for, yeah, Apoor, where is the 100 rupees? So I said, what 100 rupees? It's only 10. Look at my ledger. So in my ledger, it's 10. In Vikas's ledger, it's 100. So now it's a dispute over there. Okay. So to remove these kind of disputes from life, what we do, we induce a third party to verify that. So what will Vikas do? Vikas will transact through the bank. Now, our ledger, my ledger and Vikas's ledger are with the bank, and bank is recording the transaction. So bank has a ledger where it is written Vikas sent 100 rupees to Apoor, and bank holds the ledger which says Apoor received 100 rupees from Vikas. Now I am again a crooked fellow, so I go to the bank and tell the bank, remove 1 0 from my ledger, and we can share the 90 rupees profit. You can keep 45, I can keep 45. Now, bank being a third party, it can do that. I mean, it is just sitting there. So, bank did that. It removed a zero from the ledger. Again, it's a dispute. Vikas is losing money over there. So, over here, what is happening? The entire control of the transaction is not with me or not with Vikas. It is with the third party. Whatever the third party wishes, the third party can do. The transaction is between me and Vikas, but we are not holding any of the strings of the transaction. Now, where blockchain comes over here? Now, imagine there is some kind of magical box where that transaction can be kept, and it can only be changed if Vikas and I both agree to that. And apart from it, it cannot be changed. There's some kind of magic in a box. That magical box is basically blockchain. So what it does, mathematically and technologically, it enforces trust in the transaction. So when Vikas is transacting 100 rupees to me, it will happen in a peer-to-peer fashion. It will happen directly from Vikas to me on the network on which me and Vikas are the participants. Now on a blockchain, what happens? There are multiple parties on the same network. Talking about Bitcoin blockchain, there are thousands and millions of parties on the same network. So if I'm transacting some money from me to Vikas, what happens? That the same transaction is sent across all the parties who are present on the network. I cannot lie. And they are sharing the exact same thing which I sent to Vikas and what Vikas received. I cannot lie over there. It's mathematically and technologically proven over there by using some algorithms. I'm just explaining in a layman form. So that is what blockchain does.
Yeah.
Enforce trust through a technological perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the single term that sums it up is decentralizing trust, basically, right? So that is what blockchain was able to accomplish that nothing else was able to accomplish before that. That was the accomplishment. Yeah. Okay. We are running out of time actually. So let's move on to the like some of these questions. I think now everyone who's watching who doesn't know anything about blockchain, they'll get a general idea, I believe. And now they can let's start going to the next questions. So we can pick do you want to pick something, or should we just start with the first one? It's like, what are some practical use cases of blockchain to solve a problem in society? or for example, like Vikas, you mentioned in your introduction, like regulations around this as well. So we can maybe talk about that. So
Yeah, so we can I'll take very quick 2 minutes on regulations part. So on the regulations front, India is kind of actually still not very clear on the front of how to use uh, crypto. That means there can be crypto which can be non-tradable
hmm,
but still can suffice the utility in the blockchain.
hmm,
But government is actually putting, they are not able to somehow, I don't know, but this is what the assumption that I'm having, because let's say I'm the end user of the government policies. I'm a common person. I'm the end user of government policies. If government does not make policies ASAP on this technology, or somehow wrap this technology in a regulatory format, we will not be able to get the benefit out of this, because I can see very clearly that India as a country is not up to the mark with the other countries, because countries like US, countries like Malta, these countries are putting regulations. Dubai, countries like Dubai, because they are putting a blockchain. Dubai is putting itself as a blockchain heaven. They have already done POCs in where visa processing is also getting done via blockchain, which is a very simple use case from the perspective of implementation of blockchain. So if I take your one question, first question, like what are the some practical use cases,
right.
visa processing makes a very very simple direct use case of blockchain.
Hmm,
And again, the regulations, so India is not yet there on the regulations front. So we as a people who are working on in blockchain domain, either they register their entity in Estonia, which offers the e-residency program, and you
hmm,
can simply run all of your crypto related work from there. And maybe we have to check what is the bilateral dialogue between India and Estonia for these kind of crypto related work.
hmm.
So India is definitely not on par with the regulations front.
Hmm. It clarifies this for me, you guys. So, like, as much as I understand, like, when it comes to regulations in the blockchain space, it's only relevant when it comes to like crypto, basically, right? Crypto and tokens and stuff. That is where it all gets complicated because there's value associated to it, and when you make it extremely easy for people to do value exchange without any moderation or whatever, then problems start to arise. You can launder money and all kinds of problems start to arise there. So as much as regulation is kind of considered, the crypto is where the problem is. So if you're building a blockchain startup or whatever that has nothing to do with crypto, then you have no problems.
Hmm. But that's where the fire of a blockchain startup actually doesn't take that thrust. Reason for that is, let's say if you wanna do a blockchain without crypto and doing that, then you are basically going into a consortia sort of framework, like as Aviral mentioned, the enterprises section, where
Mm,
enterprises are using or smoothing the process, and they just use blockchain for ironing out the friction between, let's say, processes between
mm,
among them, we can say, right? So yeah, it does make sense to use blockchain without crypto as well, which covers your one of the other questions as well from the question that you have posted.
yeah.
Yeah, so it makes sense, but then you are giving power to only those startups who understand the enterprise game domain and can create solutions for them.
Mm,
No small startup can be created out of thin air or cannot come from tier 2 tier 3 cities. If let's
mm,
say they have a very solid use case, consider bitcoin is a very solid use case which
mm,
disrupted the whole financial domain. We don't know who started it, but it was not for enterprises, right?
right.
But if we have to go for enterprises, they will not entertain crypto. Then expertise like DLT labs have to, so people like SMEs have to jump
Right.
in, who understand
Right.
their domain as well as they understand what enterprises need. Then
Providing as a
small
service.
startup will not be, yeah. And then small startups, I don't think they can do some very otherwise they will get sucked up by the higher you can say MAGA, Microsoft, Amazon, Google, Facebook, and
Exactly.
all these things.
Yeah.
That's what my thoughts are. I want to understand Aviral's and Anoop's thoughts on this.
But because again, then why do you need crypto in first? Like, see, crypto is what when it's just like some data value attached to the network, right? So it is just one data that is assigned to an ID. We can, or we can say in a very layman term, like I have some value, you have some value, Apu has some value, Kapil has some value, and we are transferring that data values between each other. Now, crypto is exactly that. You can say that it's a cryptocurrency. You can say that it's a data exchange. In the end, what blockchain enables is you to have a very smart distributed database, right? Distributed decentralized database. So if now you can have a use case where you want crypto, but like you can make a use case where you exactly don't need to use crypto. You can create it out of thin air. Like you just need to create a variable, or you just need to create a data point which you assign to people. That becomes, you can say that it's cryptocurrency for them. Okay.
But
like what do you think, Apurva and Vikas? What do you think about that?
See,
I'll wait for Apurva. Yeah,
I have a totally different take on this. So, from a regulatory point of view, India is not going to. I mean, India is not clear on the regulation of the cryptocurrencies front because it involves speculation and a lot of AML and things like that. But I would like to talk more about the startups perspective from a blockchain front. So if you are saying you want to build a blockchain startup, either it can be on the infrastructure side, which has nothing to do with crypto. You're just playing with the infrastructure and the protocols and all those things. But when you say that you want to generate business on top of it, you want to create some use case of blockchain. So if you're creating that, crypto has to be there. I mean, without blockchain, without crypto, blockchain is like beer without alcohol. So non-alcoholic beer is also there. It won't work the magic. It will taste the same. It will feel the same, but it won't work the magic. So that is what I mean is without crypto. So startups which are saying that we are building something with blockchain, but not using crypto, they're just using blockchain inside the tech stack. Blockchain is not doing anything above the tech stack. It is just tech behind it. It is some application which is using a decentralized technology. That's it. But when you involve crypto into it, then it becomes a real blockchain startup, a blockchain company. Then things are decentralized. The entire economics changes to tokenomics. So you're not following the generalized economics of the daily life. You're following a totally different crypto economics, which makes a lot of sense from a decentralized perspective. So if India wants, the nation wants to, bring up these kind of companies, bring up these kind of decentralized ventures who are working on a totally decentralized models, cryptocurrencies have to be regulated. I mean, they have to be.
Okay.
But Apur, like when you are saying that if we are not using crypto, you are using tech stack. You are using crypto, then again, you are not going to build a blockchain application as a standalone application, right? You'll need to have a certain tech stack lying on top of that for everybody to communicate with it, right?
Every time.
Right. So then again, if you are transferring tokens, what's the difference? Like, okay, I'll take an example. Like, let's take example for Ethereum. Like, so Ethereum itself has a currency, right? Which we call as cryptocurrency. Now, what tokens are in Ethereum are basically just data values, right? Those are just some variables which have some value attached to it. So now, if you say that crypto is required for it, what basically you are saying is that you need some data points which are integrated deeply with the blockchain, whichever blockchain technology you are using, so that you can do some calculations, do some transactions, or do some operations. But why do you need that when you have the data? Why do you need that when you have the database which presents you with everything, not just one value?
No, I'm talking specifically about cryptocurrencies over. I understand tokens. I understand what is going inside, behind the scene over there. I'm talking specifically about cryptocurrencies. For example, if you see Steam or if you see Augur, they have a totally different business model, which is not even comparable to the business model which were existing before that. So when you induce cryptocurrency inside a blockchain-based business, the entire economics of the business transforms. I'm talking from that perspective.
Okay.
Obviously, when you're building a blockchain business, there has to be a crypto writing inside it. All the transaction data values that have to be a crypto. They're all cryptography.
Right.
So
So,
is-
but then, yeah. Okay. Sorry.
I just wanted to because I'm the individual who's kind of from the outside looking in and listening to you guys. So I from an outsider kind of view, I'm just looking for clarification. So it is like possible technically to build a blockchain startup or blockchain solution without having any tokens or doing a initial coin offering, right?
Totally possible.
Definitely.
Okay.
Yes.
But blockchain was designed for transactions or whatever but its design is for exchange of transactions and tokens and stuff. So that is what you're talking about, Apurva, as well, right? So it's like so here's it leads to this question for me, right? Like as an entrepreneur, as someone who's trying to solve problems, right? If I want to use this concept of decentralized trust or just decentralization, right, for storing value and not having a third party, rely on third party for trust or whatever, is blockchain the best option for me, basically, right? So because blockchain, I mean, I might want to, solve a problem that has nothing to do with exchange of tokens or whatever, right? But I need that kind of a decentralized solution for building what I want to build instead of relying on third party. So is blockchain the best solution for me, or is there another kind of option, or do I need to build another kind of option for there, basically?
So I would like to answer it. So see, if you want to build a decentralized kind of infrastructure behind your application, blockchain is one thing which can do. There are a lot of different kind of DLTs present over there. So for example, there's something called DAG, data acyclic graph. IOTA is following that. There is a hash graph coming onto that. So there are different models apart from blockchain also. Blockchain makes sense when you are primarily using some kind of tokenized model over there. And it depends on that. DAGs maybe, you can use tokenized models, but there are a lot of things out there apart from blockchain too, if you want to build a decentralized ecosystem. But blockchain right now is the most adopted out of all them. DAG is being tested. Blockchain has been tested and it is there, out there.
Okay. You, Aviral and Vikas, do you guys have anything to say about that?
So what I believe, like I have been involved with like core software, core application development for like almost 1.8 years, 2 years, I guess. So I don't believe like you need tokenization or you need ICOs or you need to actually have some cryptocurrency in your hand before you can develop a solution. Like it's helpful if you want to, you have a business idea where you want to use that, you can use that, but it's not necessarily important to do that. So if you want to, yeah.
So then, Aviral, the question that it begs is, if that is your viewpoint, then is blockchain option available when you want to use it as then you basically just need some option for a decentralized database in some sense, or decentralized solutions in some sense? Is blockchain the best option for an entrepreneur, someone who's trying to solve a particular problem, or is there something else, or something has to be developed in this space which is not heavily reliant or designed around tokens?
So that depends entirely on what kind of use case are going to trap and what kinds of audience are you going to trap. Like who is going to consume our application. So if you know that it's going to be a very small set of people, like a very close trusted set of people, like probably you and me, and like I am a company, you are a company. So we are going to communicate information, so that there's no need, because integrating blockchain will actually start hampering our performance after a certain point of time. So if there is a small party involved, then but if there is a big party involved, wherein everybody does not know everybody, like there are 5 or 6 clients, wherein A does not know B, B does not know C. So therein you can have this, because what happens is when when I'm going to do something or A is going to do something, everybody can at the same point of time see what is happening in the blockchain in real time. So if I do some transaction, if I'm going to do something on that, at the same point of time, everybody can verify, okay, this particular operations was being performed by this particular person. Okay. And if there's any red flag happening, or if there's something which can possibly lead to fraud, or which which they think that A is doing for his benefit, but it is going to hamper everybody else, then they can raise a potential red flag on that, or have a certain mechanism wherein they can have a veto or something. They can remove that particular client from that ecosystem. So it entirely revolves around what kind of problem you are going to solve. And like a very good example would be again consent. Like I personally believe a very good example is consent, because for a fact of matter, consent is something which financial transactions, healthcare, everybody contain, but consent and privacy of our data is something which is not uh, thought in everyday scenario by everybody. Like some people who are in that space think of it. Now what happens is, when you say consent, it means that you allow somebody to use your particular data, or you're giving authority somebody to do certain things. Okay, let's say my employer is there. Now he wants my bank details, wants to access my bank details. So if I give him consent, I'm allowing him to use my data. Now if there's no actual rigid consent mechanism, or if there's no transparency, what can happen is, if I don't give him consent information, like we have seen in many Google, Apple, Microsoft cases, that you don't allow that person to use your data, but still they can have a backdoor wherein that is accessible, and it can be sold in either to the gray market, it can be sold to the highest bidder, it can be used for some XYZ purpose. Like anything can happen. But if there's a transparent mechanism, it's both beneficial for the employer as well as the employee, because employer at any point of time can see, okay, this is my data which has been accessed by this and this particular entity for these purposes. Okay, and what I'm saying is not like a high level, or not a thought process. It's actual a product. This is actually happening in real life right now. People are using this product. So it now employee can see wherever. Employer can also see, like if somebody has given a consent, he cannot later on say that my data was used maliciously, I was not aware. If I have given consent, somebody else is using it, and if it's fallen into wrong hands, it's my mistake that I'm allowing it to happen. If I don't want it, I can just revoke my consent at any point of time. Then if that anything happens, the person who is exploiting it comes into picture. So it all revolves around what kind of use case you are going to you're going to tap for the use of blockchain.
Okay, so that makes me, ask this question to you guys, in terms of like, what do you think makes sense and doesn't make sense in terms of like what people are building on top of blockchain today, or trying to do on top of blockchain, right? So if you just try to go through the last few years and what people have been trying to do, you have seen people try to put all different kinds of stuff on blockchain. Like I've seen an artist try to put their album on blockchain, basically a music album on blockchain, and there's different kind of applications that people have been trying to almost like force into blockchain, because it was not designed for it, or it was not meant for that kind of application or whatever. So like does that make sense to you? Because say like, for example, like trying to put a movie or media or whatever on blockchain for distribution sake, or to make it decentralized so that they don't rely on a third party media channel like YouTube or something else, right? That is what their goal is. Like they don't want to rely on some third party that can take down their content. They want to make it decentralized and always available. So that is what they want to achieve, and they are trying to do that through blockchain. Does that make sense to you, or is there like some gap there that needs to be filled?
I can take that question. So I guess Yujo Music was the first startup or something which started like using blockchain for distribution and the royalty management thing. The problem that Yujo Music was trying to solve is that so Yujo Music or any other blockchain solution or anything in the media industry. So I'll come on that as well, like how blockchain can be really good solution for the digital rights management, royalty payment, and all this stuff. It's pretty standard use of blockchain. So when somebody understands blockchain in its core true offering perspective, okay, so blockchain allows me immutable data record, and this is how I can use it. So they started coming up with their own ideas. So Yujo Music was actually trying to solve the amount that generally the original creator of the content used to get. Earlier, once the creator is done with the launching of, let's say, the album, and the let's say the media house, or who, like, I don't know, like the publishing house. No, publishing is like for the books and all that stuff. The
Producer.
media house is like who is launching. Yeah,
Producer.
producers. Yeah, let's say in case of, let's say, T series is launching a song, right? So I think the power lies in the T series hands. How much money will be going to the original creator of that content, right? Because they are the one having the complete distribution channel under them, right? So they used to control them. So when blockchain came into the picture, they just simply upload a song. And when we say upload a song, the song never touches the blockchain. So blockchain just handles the distribution details of it, the like the auditable part of it. So we know how many exactly number of copies are there out there in the market, and let's say those are getting downloaded by paying, let's say, one rupee or 5 rupee or 10 rupees. So we know how much, let's say, 5% of the total money has to go back to the original creator as a part of royalty. So that auditability, that transparency actually brought in by blockchain, which was never there before. Or maybe it was there, but it was again on a trust basis. Like, I trust Kapil for actually I just trust Kapil for selling or giving me my fair share of money. So that was the core offering from blockchain side for the media industry, which have actually solved some pain points in the media industry.
Yeah, that makes sense. That actually does make sense. But so can you guys think of any use cases, or not use cases, but problems or whatever, that do not make much sense to try to implement blockchain into it or whatever? Because I mean, just trying to spread some sort of like general clarity, I think, in what makes sense and what doesn't make sense for blockchain.
I think Apoor can answer
Maybe
this.
you continue.
You can take it up.
Okay, so see,
Okay.
there are two major things which blockchain reduces: cost of networking and cost of validation. So in any kind of scenario where there are multi parties, there is a high cost of networking and high cost of validation induced with transactions. Blockchain makes sense. I can sum it up in those like that words.
Okay.
You want to say something?
Aviral wants to add anything.
So what I believe is, first of all, when everybody says that we can migrate everything to blockchain, that does not actually make sense. So, like, I have seen people trying to
True.
migrate their entire infrastructure to blockchain because
True.
they think that is going to bring in some value. But what happens is blockchain is not made for so humongous transactions. So I'll be a bit technical, but what happens is, now if there are going to be n number of parties which are going to verify each and every data point every time some data point is being generated, what will happen is that network is very secure in nature, because each and every data point being verified, you cannot maliciously change that, or you cannot update it without everybody's consent. But what happens is that is a very big overhead. Like, when we say a mining time is 13 seconds in Ethereum, or a block creation time is certain X seconds in certain blockchain, that is because every data point is being verified by everybody. It is being put on blockchain, then everybody reads it, everybody approves it, and then it is stored so that the next data point can be generated. Now, if you have an application which uses very high volumes of data, but you don't need to have a very solid auditability for that, you don't need to have a very solid traceability for that, and there are not many third parties which are integrating with your or interacting with your application, there is no sense of using blockchain over there. And now that could be anything. Like, if you are doing a PII application, if that's going to be a very small PII, like I'm doing it for a company, let's say, it won't make sense. If a company has 1,000 2,000 employees, it won't make sense that I use blockchain on it. I can just use a traditional infrastructure which is made for it, which is very efficient in nature, and integrate that on solution. But now, if I want to make a solution which would be again be used by many parties, and those parties may or may not know each other, Like some clients are, or some people are on board, or like one person is doing transaction from India, one is doing from Ireland, one is doing from America, and etc. They might or they might not know each other. So when there is a doubt of trust being there, blockchain would help because it would allow them to easily audit whatever is happening on the chain.
Okay. So I actually wanted to kind of while Apur you were talking, Nanavira you were talking, I thought of this thing. I wanted to just briefly touch on it. No, we don't have to spend much time on it, but just the whole hype aspect of blockchain, basically, right? So the last question was kind of revolving around, how people, a lot of people are trying to apply blockchain to solutions where it might not make sense, right? So that is where, like, this is something I read, some time ago. I don't remember which company it was. I don't remember any of the details, but I remember reading this title and article or whatever that. You guys know about the dot-com bubble, right? When the dot-com bubble was happening, a bunch of companies, when they added .com to their name, and their stocks basically tripled automatically. So that was basically the whole extent of the dot-com bubble. And I almost like last year, some time ago, that some startup or some company, like a public company, when they added blockchain to their name, their stocks tripled basically. So
So
stocks added tripled.
I know, like there was one soft drink company which added blockchain to their drink somewhere, and they tripled, and there was one other company which actually just added the term. They did not do anything with blockchain. They just added that term, Kodak or something. I guess I don't remember
No,
exactly.
Kodak,
Kodak also
Kodak
added
was not.
Actually was trying to implement blockchain, and they added
blockchain.
the two up immediately. So their company was almost bankrupt, as far as I remember. They were not doing much. They were not able to do much. It was completely falling apart. And the founders somehow put together this conception of using blockchain around photography and stuff. And they put it out there, and the stocks basically like jumped completely.
Yeah.
So just wanted to know your thoughts on this. Like what do you, as blockchain developers, as blockchain, founders building companies and solutions and stuff, what do you think about this?
So I can give you one practical example. Like, so I have built one product which actually takes care of the P2P verification sort of thing on a long term. So blockchain, very very low use case or very less number of use case of blockchain will start giving you results from day one. And if you just want a notarized photo, if you just want to use the notarized format of blockchain, it makes sense from day one. Like if you just want to secure, let's say me and you went into an agreement and we just time stamped that document somehow, and we tag that time stamping of that document onto the blockchain, it makes immediate sense. But let's say as a community, when we want to change anything or we want to take out the value from that community, it takes some time for that solution to be used by masses. So I am giving you very practical example. Let's say I have built a product which over the time, let's say after 5 years down the line, you and I can actually P2P, on a P2P level, we can verify each other based on our past engagement, what we have been through with the government, with the organizations. Let's say you have been using, let's say, some government services, so I can at least see those digital footmark of yours on that thing, and then I can say, okay, this guy is actually Kapil. Okay. So when I offer these kind of, when I try to explain them in a very very layman language, they understand the concept. But at the end of the day, do you know what they ask? They ask generally two things. First of all, they used to tell, Vikas, you are ahead of the time. And the second thing, do we require it right now? And the third thing, which comes to the financials, but they generally never ever touch the financials because they cannot get over these two questions. So I am seeing a very high resistance from the perspective of acceptance of blockchain, but there are very 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 good potent solutions that can be built, that has been building right now by people like us, and there will be some similar solution which will actually disrupt the market. So right now I'm actually struggling in this sense, not from the cases of blockchain, but from the getting them into action and getting them accepted into the community as a whole. That's my take.
That's a very interesting this thing, because I would have never imagined that anyone would have any resistance to accepting blockchain, given how much conversation has already
Hype it
happened.
is. Yeah, but it's not that, like, it's really not like that on the ground. I've been talking to from the school or college principal till the government people. I have been talking to a lot of people from different background, even DIPP, even a lot of people. But this is the actual thing that I want to share with you, and why this channel with the people who's gonna watch that later.
Okay. So, Apurv, your thoughts on this about the hype and everything?
Same as what Vikas said, I'm also having a lot of issues when trying to push blockchain inside the community out there. So see, what happens is that, I mean, reception to any new technology, when it happens slow. But in the case of blockchain, what happened that the reception in the past 2 years was so humongous that people have stopped believing into it, because a lot of reception was there, but nothing came out of it. So I mean,
Okay.
I've seen a lot of reports these days, and all of them say just one thing, that every POC, every kind of solution which was delivered in the last 2 years, 90% of them have failed. 90% of them have not performed as they promised in the market. So that creates a mistrust in the decision makers' mindset, that there is they want to just go slow. There is a study by PwC that only 13% of the Fortune 500 companies are live with some kind of blockchain application in the market. Only 13%. I mean, apart from the hype, I mean, if you take the hype perspective, everyone was jumping on the blockchain wagon. I mean, from the last couple of years. But right now, if you look at the adoption, it is only 13%.
Okay. So you're saying that there's skepticism now,
Yes.
basically. There's a
From,
general skepticism.
yes, because of the speculation perspective, which was added from the cryptocurrencies. So what happened in a cryptocurrency aspect of blockchain, that basically created a skepticism in the market regarding the technology also. And we, as the ambassadors of this technology, we have to push it forward. We have to propagate the idea of decentralization in this universe.
Okay.
True.
Okay. Okay, that's a very interesting response. Actually, I was not expecting that kind of, this thing, that there's actually skepticism, actually, in people to accept blockchain solutions with their problems and stuff. But yes, so okay, we are actually coming closer to the end, so let's quickly go through a few questions I have actually. One was actually for Vikas and for you, Apurva, as well, because you both are, building blockchain in some sense, like blockchain as a service kind of a company, right? Like trying to help other organizations basically solve their problems with blockchain. So just like, okay, so first question I'm thinking about is like, when you're doing this, are you actually, launching or doing an ICO as well for them? Like if you're building a blockchain solution for them, for any client or whatever, are you doing an ICO for them as well? Or is it like a, solution without any kind of ICO or token or whatever?
So I'll take it very quickly. So I did created a token for one of my project, which I'm doing with one of my friend in US. So I created that because we need that utility token and the participation from everybody, because this project was in healthcare space. And when we say healthcare space, there are like patients, there are like hospitals, and there are like service providers. So all these people have to we have to bind them in a certain token economics where everybody is bound to the system, right? So for that reason we have to create a coin for that, and then ultimately we have to did that ICO, though it fall flat on its face, but the token is still there on the live Ethereum mainnet, and we are building the utility of that. So maybe over the time, because right now anyhow it's a bear phase, but over the time when we will have some utility already developed of that particular platform, people are going to take notice of the genuine projects out of the hyped one.
Okay. What about you, Apur?
So, first of all, I mean, see, the Bitcoin works on the enterprise blockchain side. So,
Okay.
enterprise blockchain doesn't require an ICO. It's like, I mean, inside it's private blockchains. But if
Right.
you talk about ICOs, I mean, they were meant for two things: one for fundraising and one for user adoption. So any kind of use case which needs a fast user adoption, and they need the involvement of the user from a financial perspective, they need the stake of the user to be there in the game, then an ICO has to be there. So
Okay. 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 I get it. Okay. So next question I had again, which was, I guess, which is very relevant to people, entrepreneurs who want to, build a blockchain startup or company or whatever, right? So like issues that they should expect or, be careful of when, trying to build a blockchain startup. Issues that from my perspective, I can think of issues with scalability, for example, or something like that, like what issues should they be or problems should they be aware of if they are thinking of building some sort of a blockchain startup?
I would like to take it from the start. When you are formalizing a company within India, never mention cryptocurrency, something related to crypto when you actually do a company initiation while you're CA using with your CA or CS. Never ever do that without yes, just don't even mention cryptography because it contains crypto. So why? Because that was one of the thing which I had to discuss with the CS at least on 3 calls just to make them understand what exactly my startup is gonna do. So first thing first, then it comes to the scalability and all these problems. So when you want to do this, make sure if you are in India, definitely never ever mention the crypto wala thing into your company description thing. And rest of the things, like it's the problem of it's a problem of the whole community if you talk about the scalability and all this stuff. Yeah, so people are very smart people, I should say, that they are after solving these things. Recently, let's say the Constantopol, whatever that. So that update was actually halted because of the security issue. That was one update that meant to be rolled out onto Ethereum platform. That was one because of some security vulnerability. It was not launched. So these kind of things that I'm mentioning, see, the people who are very smart people who are trying to solve them, and very, very smart people, smarter than those smart people, are trying to find vulnerabilities in them. So we are, I think, into very safe hands when it comes to scalability and problems that we are facing today. Maybe some plasma and all that things, some Polkadot or some these things will eventually come up and will solve these sort of problems.
So I again, like this is coming from an outsider perspective. So correct me if my understanding is wrong or whatever. But like, what about reliability, right? So if like I'm trying to build a blockchain startup that depends on Ethereum, right? So like, how reliable, how much can I trust and depend on Ethereum as the like the bottom line of
infrastructure?
So like, what, for example, like we have seen there was a right? So like with the Ethereum, when the community is, in conflict about something or whatever, and there's a lot of, things going on, there's a fork being discussed and all kinds of stuff. Like, as a startup or as a guy who's trying to depend on it, build or something on it, what should I be, doing basically?
So I'll be taking very 30 seconds, then I'll be switching, giving it to Aviral and Apur. So I just want to mention this thing. We are in very early stage of thinking blockchain to be used by masses, and we are gonna have these kind of sudden knee-jerk kind of situation, like, oh my god, this has happened, we have not thought before about it. So we have to get ourselves up from that situation, and we have to think about it. Let's say we are thinking that quantum computing, I'm really sorry to use this word, but let's say we are just thinking that quantum computing is just a theory. But recently IBM launched 50 qubits computer. So take that, guys. So all I'm saying is this: blockchain is very in its diapers right now. It's in very infancy stage. So we just can't say that how much do we trust. But all I'm saying that blockchain as a concept is very, very solid, very, very powerful. We can pivot our situations, but we are not going to change the goal, and the goal is to decentralize the most of the things. Over to Apur and Aviral.
Yeah, can you guys do you want to add anything to that?
Yes, so I mean, everyone who's listening to this, I just have one word for this question. It's that believe. Believe. If you believe, you can. I mean, just you have to believe things. That's it.
Okay.
Because right now at the cusp, it's a cusp. It's just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, we have to explore the entire iceberg in the coming years. It's just the tip of the iceberg.
Okay. Aviral, do you have anything to add?
No, so like my involvement has mostly always been from a developer, and business side has been quite less. But what I believe is, yeah, like so. First of all, the technology is very nascent in nature. So do not believe that everything can happen on blockchain. At least for now, always have a fallback plan. So while developing, I faced a like a very good advice from my side would be always have a fallback plan, and always have a trust that whatever you're going to write is not going to work in the first place. Like
Oh,
your first time, if it's working, then trust me, like it's going to fall apart after a certain time,
okay.
because it's not as stable as I wouldn't say stable. It's not as uh, uh, straightforward as normal architectures are.
Okay.
So if you are going to develop solution with the thought process as how you have already been developed, that solution will not work out. So before you go jump the bullet and start just developing, creating the architecture, think of how exactly does blockchain technology work, have a deep understanding of how the transactions happen, how the data flow, and then start working on it.
Okay. So if I have to summarize, it basically comes down to there's risk, and if you want to, build something on blockchain, be aware of that risk and plan according to it, around it. Do risk management. Be, like understand it, understand
Kapil,
the
Kapil,
yeah.
I would like to say one thing. There is no risk on building on blockchain. There is no
True.
risk
True.
on building on top of blockchain.
Okay.
Actually,
There,
Kapil, actually the word risk is not correct, because
yes,
actually it's how alert you are, the way you want to deploy blockchain in your solution. That's the only
exactly.
thing we have to be very, very about. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Otherwise,
Yeah.
it will be the wrong message, man.
No, I obviously, like, as blockchain developers and founders, you will say that it's the wrong way to frame it and stuff. But yes, I
Huh.
understand. Okay, fine. So let's move to the final question I had was simply, like, from a security point of view, basically, right? So it's like, in terms of, like, if I'm building a solution on blockchain, in terms of the protection or security of the data and the architecture and stuff, like, how like, I guess you can correct me my understanding here, but how secure is it basically?
Okay. So very quickly, so blockchain, by applied cryptography, applied mathematics, it's very secure. But again, it's not that main foundational security we are talking about here. We are talking about people here, common people here. So there are entities who are trying to create solutions which are easier to be used by the common people. But when we make very simple layer to be used by the people, and those simple layers are very easy to break in by social engineering as well. So it's the education part also that we have to keep giving them. It's like we have to continuously run a ad of Dawar Prash to make sure that they know what to do with this red color ka dabba, right? So we have to tell them that what they have to be wary about when it comes to interacting with the blockchain based solutions. You cannot tell them that it's just a simple user ID password based solution, because if again it's a user ID based password based solution, we are again putting ourselves at risk.
Okay. Aviral, do you have
Apurva
any
and Avril.
uh, thoughts to add?
No, no,
Okay.
like most of them were covered. I don't have
Okay.
anything.
Okay. Apur, do you have anything to add?
from, yes, from a security perspective, I mean, blockchain as a technology is secure. I mean, the transactions, whatever transaction you push on the chain, whatever things you do on the chain, that is secure. But when you connect the chain to some off-chain asset, something which is not on blockchain, then the blockchain cannot securitize that, obviously.
True. Okay.
Because in blockchain, it is secure. If it is off-chain, for example, exchanges keep getting hacked, so they're off-chain.
Right.
So that is.
Okay.
And
ठीक है.
and Kapil, I just want to take 1 minute about the recent security related issues. Recently, ETC, Ethereum Classic, the Ethereum Classic coin came or chain came when the DAO has happened sometimes in the past, right? So
Yeah.
recently, that chain was actually uh, brute forced. Basically, the whole it was rehashed in the sense like somebody was parallelly mining the whole chain. So he simply reorganized the whole chain and took out around 100K worth of etc. But after that, the hacker actually gave that 100K USD worth of etc back to the exchange's wallet. But the point that I want to send across about this security aspect of the blockchain is the blockchains which are based on the coins and the currencies, cryptocurrencies, like which have the native token bind to it, has this computational power attached to it, or staking mechanism attached to it. Like whoever has the at least 50% of it or 51% of it actually owns the whole network. So we have to be wary about those aspects as well.
Okay. So let's do final thoughts. Like if you have to like tell anything as a person, like to a person who is thinking of getting into the blockchain space, building something around blockchain, building a startup, whatever it is, like what should they be aware of? What should they know, kind of thing?
I just want to tell like this: if the people who are listening to it, even after that, consider us like the Vijay Shekhar Sharma, and we are telling you about Paytm, and we are telling you this big promises, sir. One day you will be just sending money by scanning the QR code and all that stuff. We are the same people, and I'm telling you that we are not prodigies, but yes, we are like we are almost of the same league. We are trying to tell you that yes, if we will use blockchain in this manner, it will come up with a very solid outcome after some time. And we might have some solution which will start reaping the benefit after even a week or so. But blockchain as a concept is a very powerful solution. It can actually give you those QR code wala feeling in some time, in very soon, I can say. So just match or just hear the propositions that we want to give as a product creator in the blockchain space. Just hear us out. We have very a lot of things that we are having under our wings that we can show it off to you. Just trust us, believe,
Yes,
as
yes.
Apur said.
Yeah.
So, do you want to like add any more to it? Like in terms of like if I'm no, I get what you said, but if I'm like as a person, I'm thinking of getting into the blockchain space. I have no idea about it. I've never done it. You guys have been in the space. You're doing it, and you've been doing it and stuff. What can you tell me? Like what do I doing? What do I need to know to get into it, get started, and build and stuff?
So, first of all, see, just be in the community. Just be out there in the blockchain community. There would be some people who know about blockchain who keep talking about blockchain. So just stick to those people. Those people can give you the entire thing. I mean, you need to begin into blockchain. Then what you can do is just Google blockchain for dummies. You can find multiple articles, multiple courses over there, which you can go through and understand what as first understand as a concept. So I mean, blockchain is not just a technology; it's a philosophy. It's a philosophy of doing things. So you have to understand that philosophy first, and then get into the technology. That makes more sense for an individual who's just entering the ecosystem and be part of the community. So, for example, Vikas is also a core member of Blockchain India community. So that is a pan India community out there, and they are also organizing the India DAP Fest.
Yeah.
Bangalore in March. So that is whoever is starting blockchain. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We are doing it. We are definitely doing it. And this is gonna be greater. This is gonna be great.
Yes.
Yeah. So, like for example, you mentioned how you guys are struggling to get your clients to potential clients to accept or like convince them that blockchain is a solution they need, right? So, like things like that. Anything more like that kind of stuff that you have learned over your experience of working in the space that can be helpful if someone is trying to get into like maybe another blockchain as a service company or whatever it is that they want to build in the blockchain space. Any kind of experience or lessons you have learned in being in the space?
Vikas, you want to?
Okay. Yeah, I can add quickly. So, I think the question that I understand is this: like, if somebody wants to start afresh into this blockchain service as a company, like who wants to give the services for that on blockchain, right? What they can do, right, to find their
Yeah,
customers, right?
yeah. That is one
Yeah.
one one aspect of it.
Okay. So, actually, you have to, again, as Apoor said, that you have to be in the community, because the community is the place where you get to show off what you have done, and when you showcase the capabilities that you have, that you possess as a startup, as an individual, there will be people then coming up to test your capabilities, and then you forge a relationship where people will trust you as a person, as a company, and then they will actually gonna come up with a bigger project. So, because I have actually got my initial projects just like by talking with the people and by giving them the confidence, because in a startup or anywhere you sell yourself. So when I sold myself that yes, we can pull this off, we and when we actually did, so that forced our discussion or our acquaintances into a very solid relationship, and which is still working now. So I guess the community is the place where you will get your first paid project in the blockchain space.
Yeah, that is definitely solid advice because I completely agree with that. Okay, TK, anything else you guys want to add, like final thoughts kind of thing you want to share, anything like that? Okay, nothing from
Apoor
you,
can
Abhirat.
go.
I don't think
No,
Apu anything to add as well. Okay, okay, fine. Okay, let me just briefly also talk about Startup Byte thoda, right? So because they are the ones who
Huh.
are hosting it and everything. So
Hmm.
Startup Byte like is a startup here from Hyderabad itself, and what they're trying to do is they're trying to bring together startup communities and the ecosystems across the country or even the entire world. Build some sort of a common space kind of a thing, like a social network sort of a thing for startup communities and startup ecosystems and stuff, so that if you want to be you're a startup, you're building a startup, you need potential clients or potential partners or anything like that. Like as you said, communities are really really helpful basically, right? It helps you accelerate and stuff.
Yes.
The idea is
Yes.
bringing it with the communities from across all domains, not just like specific to blockchain. For example, it could be like investors, like you're building a startup and you want to find investors or connect with investors. Where do you go and how do you find them, right? Bringing it. So the idea is to bring all these ecosystem partners, participants, everyone on a single platform, so that it can be extremely easy for anyone to build a startup across any domain, technology, or whatever. And these guys, Startup Byte is trying to do that through different initiatives and stuff. This is one initiative. We are that we are planning to do a lot of hangouts and stuff and online AMAs and stuff that people can we can bring some and whatever from across the country on different kinds of topics. It could be on like how to raise money, or it could be on anything, and have it public. People can ask questions and stuff, access that knowledge and information and stuff, and share knowledge basically with people. It could be video AMAs, or it could be text AMAs or whatever. And there are a lot of guides and stuff as well that we are working on. So like ecosystem guys, like if you're in Hyderabad or if you're in Delhi, what is the startup ecosystem basically? What are the incubators, accelerators? Like who are the people and who should and how do you contact them? Everything basically, making it available in one place basically. So that is what Startup Byte is doing, and I think it's a really good initiative and mission and stuff. And I'm trying to help them get there to whatever degree I can with my expertise and knowledge and stuff. And I'm glad that they are doing something in technology space as well, in blockchain and everything. So yeah, we'll be planning more stuff. We'll be planning more. We'll be planning more articles as well. So even if you guys want to do like Apurv, if you want to do another kind of a hangout or AMA or whatever, or if you want to write an article, basically, right, like something specific on some experience and lesson you have that you want to share with the world or whatever, you can we can post it, we can publish it, we can reach the world, we can share the knowledge and stuff. So yes, that's what I wanted to say. And yeah, I am really glad that you guys joined. I appreciate you guys coming on board and spending an hour plus sharing your knowledge and stuff. I really think a lot of people would appreciate this. We had, I think, I was checking the views and stuff. We had, I think, around 15, 20 views and stuff live, people watching for a consistent period of time. And I think a lot of people will even watch afterwards as well. So this was good. I got to learn quite a few things, and it was a really good discussion. So let's keep this going. Let's plan more stuff like this in the future as well.
Yeah, definitely.
True, man.
Yeah.
I checked the Startup Byte platform. It was really great to see. Like it was very well maintained, as well as some things I really like about the way they have given the structure of that web falla thing. It was good.
Yeah.
I would encourage people to actually check that out. Yeah.
Awesome. ठीक है. Okay. It was great having you guys. I think we can end the discussion यहाँ पे, and let's continue like planning stuff around blockchain, building the blockchain community and stuff.
Sure, man.
Sure.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you guys for your time. Thank you, Aviral. Thank you, Arupur. Thank you, Kapil.
Yeah.
Thank you, Banu. Bye bye. Take care.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Yeah.